Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for July 14th, 2025. We are coming off the Evolution Premium Live event, and we also have SummerSlam in just a few weeks. A very interesting episode of Monday Night Raw, definitely a unique show, to say the least. Let's break it down. We had a video package highlighting Saturday night's main event, Goldberg's retirement, and Evolution. We opened up the show with the new Women's World Champion, Naomi, came to the ring. She said the people were not feeling the glow, but they're feeling her now. She said that people thought she would cash in on Tiffany Stratton, but she warned everyone that nobody knows her next move until she makes it. She said that she outgrew Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They just wanted her as an ally. She said she is the one that ended up making history, and she told the Raw roster to proceed with caution. Rhea Ripley came out there. She said she's not cautious. She's reckless. She's pissed. And she had two goals at Evolution to win the title and beat Io Sky. Naomi caused her to not reach those goals. And now Naomi is on the list. Io Sky then came out there, told Rhea Ripley to get in line. She wants her rematch. And then Adam Pearce came out there after Naomi said both of them can go to the back of the line. Pearce, the general manager, announced that since the match at Evolution was magic, with SummerSlam being 2 nights, the magic needs to be bigger, and it will in fact be a triple threat match. Naomi will defend against both Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. We've had some great triple threat women's matches this year. WrestleMania's triple threat match, and then the match we had at Evolution for the IC title. Yeah, I'm all for it. The triple threats have been bangers. Good start to the show. We got the SummerSlam match set up for the women's title. Judgment Day was backstage, and Finn Balor had Dominic go to ringside for Raquel and Roxanne's match. He wanted it to happen for Liv Morgan. We had Raquel and Roxanne going up against the Kabuki Warriors. Back and forth competitive match here, but we did have the interference from Dominic. The Kabuki Warriors were able to regroup, but then Dominic got on the apron again, and Asuka knocked him off the apron, and Roxanne rolled up Asuka and got the win. I hate to say it, because I know people loved this episode of Raw, and any criticism will be chastised, but stupid babyface. I hate the roll up with the babyface getting distracted, especially when it's a veteran. If it's somebody from NXT in their first match on Raw, they're rookies. They have to learn. But when it's Asuka falling for the distraction, I'm not a big fan of it. One of the few weak points of the show. Just a few. Not really that many. Still a decent match, though. And then backstage, we had Paul Heyman talking to Seth, well, not talking to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was not there. Paul Heyman was asked about Seth Rollins, and Heyman said it's too soon to know. Apparently, Rollins had an MRI, and we're waiting the results of that. Heyman did note, though, and this is important, apparently they are not going to have Rollins relinquish the briefcase. Heyman said that Rollins still has until next June to cash in Money in the Bank. Now, if he's out, remember when he suffered the injury in 2015, he was out about 6 months. If it's the same scenario, he's out 6-7 months, he can still come back and he'll have several more months to cash in the briefcase. For now, it looks like Rollins will keep the briefcase. even if he's out for a while. We'll see what happens with that. And Heyman said the focus was going to be on Bron Breakker winning a gauntlet match to see who faces Gunther for the World Championship at SummerSlam. That was the main event. More on that in just a little bit. Next up, we had Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria in a 2 out of 3 falls match, with the winner going on to SummerSlam to challenge Becky Lynch for the women's IC title. And before the match, Bayley said as much as Lyra wants it, Becky needs it. Now, Bayley won the first fall very quickly with a roll-up, and she dominated Lyra for a while. She slammed her back first on the apron. However, Lyra was able to counter Bayley essentially out of nowhere, and she got the second fall. It was tied, 1 apiece. Bayley was frustrated. She definitely turned up the aggression. And yes, Ian, I will save your super chat here for just a few minutes. Stay tuned for that. Bayley to belly from Bayley. Lyra kicked out of that. Lyra made her comeback, and she delivered a perfect plex to Bayley on the apron, getting a little bit of payback. They traded near falls. Crowd was loving the match, by the way. Definitely a good sign for Lyra. They were both on the outside. Bayley powerbombed Lyra into the steel steps, got her back in the ring, did the flying elbow to the bad back, but Lyra kicked out, and then Bayley put on a crossface. Lyra countered out of it and then managed to hit the Nightwing and got the 1-2-3 victory to win the 2 out of 3 falls match and officially go on to SummerSlam to challenge Becky Lynch for the IC title. Very good match here between these two. And then Becky Lynch stormed down to the ring, had a little face-off with Lyra. They're going to run it back one more time. And then backstage, Stephanie Vaquer was interviewed. She said she came to WWE to become a champion. She vowed to do so at Clash in Paris coming up at the end of August. But then the Secret Hervis and Chelsea Green interrupted, and Chelsea called her a loser. And Chelsea said she should be the one in the match at Clash in Paris. We had Nikki Bella wrestling on Raw for the first time in like 7 years, I think since 2018. Nikki versus Chelsea Green. Pretty solid match here. You had the interference from the Secret Hervis. I mean, they were shielding Chelsea at one point. They took cheap shots. And despite the interference, Nikki was able to overcome it. She seemed to not know what to do with the rack attack. She was struggling with that. Beyond that, it was a solid match. And Nikki did hit the rack attack 2.0. And then after the match was over, the Secret Hervis attacked Nikki. Stephanie Vaquer came out there to make the save and helped up Nikki and gave her a big hug. I'm wondering if, I presume at the least it's going to be a tag match, but you would think that Chelsea Green would have to be in it. So it would have to be the 3 women, Chelsea, Piper, and Alba Fire against Nikki, Stephanie, and do we get Brie mode at SummerSlam? That's the question. It could be a tag match 2-on-2. Maybe we'll see 3-on-3 at SummerSlam if they want to bring in Brie and do the 6-woman tag team match. But I think this is pretty clearly a SummerSlam match with Nikki's involvement. We had a video package from Karrion Kross. And he said that the favorite bad guy is here to save the day. He thinks Sami Zayn is still lying about being hurt. And he told Zayn, don't come back, until admitting that Kross was telling the truth the whole time. Now, there were a lot of women's segments here, as you may have noticed. pretty much the entire first half of Monday Night Raw was women's segments. We had a few men backstage segments, but all the matches were women's matches. The opening segment was the women's segment to set up the title match. It was interesting that WWE did this, almost like Evolution 2.5. A little bit extra evolution for the first half of Monday Night Raw. Something they haven't really done before. So I liked it. It was a nice change of pace. I'm always a fan of when WWE does something a little bit different and shakes things up. So yeah, I liked it. And people definitely took notice of it. But then we got the men in. New Day. They're still mourning their tag team title match. And Adam Pearce said that they will handle the tag team situation next week. We'll find out who the new challengers are. But New Day will have to earn the opportunity. And then Pearce went over to Dominic Mysterio and said that Dominic must have felt great being out there and interfering in the tag match. And Dominic said it was, and I quote, the adrenaline in his soul. Little reference to Cody Rhodes' lyrics. And Dominic still had his doctor's note, but Pearce said next week, Dominic is going to be reevaluated. Easy for me to say. And he will be checked out again next week. And if Dominic is medically cleared, he will be facing AJ Styles for the IC title at SummerSlam. And Styles was over in the background praying, and he made it clear he's still watching Dominic. And Dominic was trying to talk to God as well. So it was a funny segment. And looks like we're getting this match for SummerSlam as expected. Dominic did take a bump on the show. Asuka knocked him off the apron. Looks like we're getting this one at SummerSlam as well. We also had a backstage segment with Rusev and Sheamus. And Rusev said he's superior to Sheamus, but Sheamus said he talked to Pearce, and they are going to have a rematch. I hope they do it at SummerSlam. It's 2 nights. I feel bad because these guys had a really good match a few weeks ago, but the crowd was not that good. I will say this, the crowd this week in Birmingham, very good crowd. And if Rusev and Sheamus had the match on this show, it would have been hot. I think they should get the match at SummerSlam. Put it on the premium live event. I don't want to see it on Raw. Let them do a pay-per-view match. Gunther came to the ring to celebrate his victory over Bill Goldberg. And the crowd did chant for Goldberg, by the way, but Gunther said Goldberg's done. He's retired. And Gunther wanted to know who was next. And he said, we'll get an answer soon because of the Gauntlet. He said he was going to go watch in the suite. But then Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman interrupted. And Heyman shook Gunther's hand, did his intro, but Gunther cut him off. Gunther said he's not interested in what Heyman had to say. He got in Breaker's face. And then Heyman cut this great promo. Heyman said that Bron Breakker will run the gauntlet, beat Gunther, because Breakker is the next big thing. He's the big dog. It's his yard. He's not just a contender. He's a Steiner. And he's going to break through the glass ceiling and break Gunther's ass at SummerSlam. And Gunther had enough of this, and he left. And that set up our first match, Bron Breakker versus Penta in the Gauntlet. So, yeah, a little reference to Roman Reigns' monikers and Brock Lesnar's as well. Will we see Brock Lesnar come back one day? Who knows? Bron Breakker versus Penta was good. Penta got in some offense, but then he went for this springboard move, and Bron Breakker caught him in midair with the spear. Great finish for this one. Bron Breakker advances. And then we had LA Knight coming out there. They traded shots and they fought on the outside of the ring. LA Knight was targeting Breakker's arm. Breakker was targeting Knight's midsection. It was competitive, but then Breakker raked the eyes. Apparently, there were no DQs in these gauntlet matches. The announcer said it, and the referee didn't do anything. So I guess it was no DQ. Breakker raked the eyes, and then he pinned him with the spear. Interesting that LA Knight beat Seth Rollins, although I don't think that was the plan. But LA Knight loses here. Almost felt like an afterthought, but it was a solid match. Then we had Jey Uso coming out there, getting the big reaction. He sent Braun out of the ring. He did his encore with the fans doing the yeeting. And then Jey built up some momentum, but then Braun busted out the Breakensteiner. Jey, though, countered Braun's spear with some super kicks, and then Jey did his own spear. Braun kicked out of it, and then Jey went for the Uso splash, but Bronson Reed showed up and pushed him off the top rope, and then Breakker hit the spear. It was elementary at that point. Bron Breakker beats another one, Jey Uso, with the help of Bronson Reed. Big Bronson Reed. Then we had our final entrant in this 5-man gauntlet. We had CM Punk. He went right after Breakker before even taking off his jacket. But then Breakker got the upper hand. He worked over Punk. Breakker has really stepped it up with the trash talking. I think they're coaching him well. He's doing all the mocking of people. He mocked the clobbering time phrase from CM Punk. And then Punk countered the Breakensteiner with a pin attempt, nearly won the match. Crowd really bought into that near fall. And then Punk went up on top for his flying elbow. However, Bronson Reed tried to interfere again. Punk fought him off, did connect with the elbow. Breakker kicked out, and then Punk applied the Anaconda Vice. But then Bronson Reed just flat out got in the ring, attacked CM Punk. But Jey Uso came back out there and took out Bronson Reed. Punk avoided the spear and then hit the GTS and got the 1-2-3 victory to officially earn the SummerSlam title match against Gunther. Now, Ian sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate the super chat. Ian says, Raw's main event with Braun had the same problem that Gunther had in the 2023 Rumble. Punk should have been the first in the gauntlet, not Bron Breakker. I see where you're coming from, but I like the fact that Bron Breakker went the distance. The same thing with Gunther. It actually got Gunther over as a monster that Gunther lasted that whole match. And same thing here with Braun. The fact that Braun made it all the way to the end, I think really elevated him. And people were making fun of him for the water breaks. He was sipping water, but I've seen a lot of wrestlers do that. That's nothing new. I think that with the stories they were setting up for SummerSlam, I think this all made sense the way they did this. You had Bronson Reed interfering and then Jey evening the odds, and that's obviously setting something up for SummerSlam, and we'll get to that a little bit more here in just a moment. And then, of course, they already teased CM Punk versus Gunther over the past couple of weeks. So that was looking like it was going to be the match for SummerSlam. Now, Jackson Harrison sent in a $2 super chat and says, why do you think AEW pay-per-views are so much better than WWE? Well, thank you for the super chat. And I would say it's because the wrestlers are allowed to go out there and basically have no limitations. They can do anything they want. They can go out there. Every person can basically go out there and try to have the best match possible. You can use blood. You can have weapons. You can do all the near falls. They have great athletes, and they have long matches. And that's what the diehard AEW fans want to see. WWE tries to have a little bit of a different style, focusing more on the stories than the actual moves. And they do the shorter matches. They have more commercial ads and stuff like that. So that's the gist of it. But thank you for the super chat again. I appreciate it. Now let's get back to the end of Raw. We had a post-match attack from Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker on both CM Punk and Jey Uso. And they were going to do the double tsunami to both guys from Bronson Reed. Bron Breakker stacked them up and Reed went up top. But then Roman Reigns officially made his return. As we all expected and as rumored, Roman Reigns did in fact have a new t-shirt, the OTC one, because they always got to have new merchandise. John Cena has new merchandise all the time. Same thing with Roman Reigns. Massive pop, by the way. The place came absolutely unglued for Reigns. It was something. Like, this was a Steve Austin level pop. He came out there. He beat the crap out of Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. Superman punches, spears. Samoan drop to Bronson Reed, which looked great. And then he helped up his bloodline brother, Jey Uso. CM Punk stood up and looked over at Roman Reigns. And the crowd was singing. You know how they sing Cody Rhodes? The international fans? Well, these fans just broke out in the loud Roman Reigns song. And it was an epic ending to the show. Now, it looks to me they might do 2 singles matches. I'm thinking they could do Roman Reigns versus Bron Breakker and Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed. And maybe that's why they booked Bron Breakker this way, to set him up for Roman Reigns. They could also do a tag match, Roman and Jey versus Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. We'll see what they do. I mean, theoretically, they could do both. They could do 2 singles matches and then do a tag match at Clash in Paris, or reverse that. So we'll see what they come up with. I know Roman has his Street Fighter movie, so I'm not sure if he'll be at Clash in Paris or not. I know they're filming that later in August. He might not be on that show. But for SummerSlam, we definitely got Roman Reigns in there, getting in the mix, trying to obtain revenge on Paul Heyman and Paul Heyman's group. Now, Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Building Nexus. Says, does Paul's group need new members if Seth Rollins is gone? That's an interesting question. I think it depends on how long Rollins is gone. If it's only a couple of months, not necessarily. I really feel like their group was strong with just the 3 of them with Heyman. I would have liked to have seen, if they were going to add another member, I would have liked Becky Lynch in the group. But without Becky Lynch, I think they were fine with the 3 guys. If Rollins is out for 6 months or more, then I would consider that idea, possibly bringing in a new guy to be part of the group. We'll see what they do. We'll likely have some more information on Roman Reigns here, or not Roman Reigns, on Seth Rollins in the coming days. Maybe Ricky Saints, maybe Austin Theory. I mean, there's some possibilities. All in all, I think Raw was a great show. Like I said, a unique episode, doing the first half mostly focused on the women's stuff, and then doing the gauntlet match with the men at the end. They hadn't done a gauntlet match in like a year. I don't mind a gauntlet match when it's done every now and then. It was when they were doing it like every couple of months. I'm like, come on, man, this is just time filler. But here, I felt it was appropriate to set up SummerSlam, and they got Roman Reigns back in the mix. And I thought it was well booked with Bron Breakker in at the start. You build him up for Roman Reigns. I thought it was a really strong show. I am going with an 8 out of 10 for this week's Raw. Really good show. Fun from start to finish. Lots of good wrestling. Set up some SummerSlam matches. Oh, by the way, still no Pat McAfee, so he may be done for the year. I know we're getting pretty close to the football season. Maybe he comes back for SummerSlam, but feels like McAfee is out for the time being. But all in all, I mean, Corey Graves has been great. Him and Cole, solid, very solid. I mean, I think they're a really good combination. Yeah, I enjoyed Raw. SummerSlam looking pretty strong now with Roman Reigns back in the mix. It's a shame about Seth Rollins, but CM Punk and Gunther is a great match. Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria is going to be really fun. The triple threat's going to be great. I think SummerSlam will be a really, really awesome 2-night premium live event. It's shaping up well. But yeah, now we only got a couple weeks left, so they really have to hit the gas with these match buildups. And we do have John Cena coming back on SmackDown to confront Cody Rhodes, so that'll be fun. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. I very much appreciate the love and support from you guys. Stay tuned to No DQ for the latest news and rumors. We're going to have a fun No DQ review Tuesday night, 7 p.m., 4 p.m. Pacific, with the fallout from the weekend, plus the return of Roman Reigns. You know, Virtue will have a lot to say. Stay tuned for that. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.